It's a campaign hall, and there may well be some discordant notes. Tonight, it will be a movie theater for the showing of a 2011 film titled, appropriately, Win-Win. Seems apt to sandwich in between, along with scrambled eggs and sausage, a political forum. So, welcome to round one of the 1st Congressional District Shootout. Today is Republican Day. One of the Democrats got confused a little bit about the date and showed up this morning. Salah, you're welcome. She'll not speak until next week. One of these 5 candidates will be nominated 1 month from today, possibly to be elected your voice in the U.S. House of Representatives. We are pleased to have all 5 here today: Rob Cornilles, Delinda Delgado Morgan, Pavel Goberman, Lisa Michaels, and Jim Greenfield. I don't know, you want to applaud them now? And maybe you'll have applause for them at the end. Listen to them, question them. We will give each of them 10 minutes to tell what they want us to hear. Then we ask them questions for answers we want to hear. Judge John Beatty has a timer and a gavel, not a word after. Round 2 will be next Saturday, when we expect to hear all 8 of the Democrat candidates, including Salah. Just how we do that, I'm not sure, but I guarantee it will be fun and educational. We have all morning to do it. And I gave the candidates a chance to draw out of the hat the order, and I don't remember what the order is. Who has number 1? All right. Short introduction, and he'll probably tell you more about himself. Business management education, candidate for Congress, state legislature, labor commissioner, and in the fitness business, Pavel Goberman.
Hello, thank you for giving me opportunity to talk. As you see, I wish all organizations, as your organization, will organize this forum debate. Okay, about me, my name is Pavel Goberman. I came here for political reasons from former USSR in 1981. But I appreciate this country, I appreciate the people, you, this time, you work it, pay taxes, you help me to learn English a little bit. Yeah, therefore, for people benefits, pay back to society, I run for office. Why I run for office? Because our law violated. You created this country. You defended this country. Nation owe you. But so many politicians elected, they violate law, do criminal contempt of Constitution United States. No any punishment, no any accountability. You see, why I am former immigrant with imperfect English must run for office. I don't want to live in Washington, D.C., but I want to help. First, I run for office for purpose of defend of this Constitution United States, or this. It covers this country. You all politicians must be responsible for it. Many of them should be in prison. But I don't blame them only. I blame many people who vote for them. Why? Then 30 years experience in the office. But what he did to nation? Media said experience, but 30 years experience to destroy this country. It's not proper way. What problem now? Occupy Wall Street, occupy Portland. A very good movement, patriotic movement. But they do big mistake. One guy wrote articles about me, said, Pavel, unique political phenomenon. Why? Because I see what others don't see. Well, this movement very good, but they bargain on wrong tree. They bargain on Wall Street, on downtown. But core of this problem, huge unemployment, because politicians, corrupted politicians. Who corrupts the media? Media is cancer of our society. It promotes money in election. Don't need money in election. Money in election and corruption, bribery. United States Constitution, Article 2, Section 4 says, for bribery must be impeachment. Very simple. It media creator, fundraising, it creates huge profit they have. Against media, the media does everything to block my election. In 2000, last year I ran for U.S. Senate. I didn't accept money, media blocked my election. 2008, I also ran for U.S. Senate, I got Gordon Smith. I didn't accept money from nobody. I blame media. The media organized forum candidate but didn't invite me. You see, now this Occupy Portland blame some accountability. Who they blame? They have to blame media. Media of it. But tomorrow will be forum of candidates in Forest Grove, Pacific University, but they didn't invite me. For this pamphlet media group, they blocked my election, my forum, didn't invite. On Monday will be a forum of candidates in West Israel congregation, organized Jewish Federation of Portland. They didn't invite me. It's so low. I could not. Why I run? I have planned to create million jobs. I have planned to balance the budget. Balance budget is debt is crime against our country. Politicians, you pay big taxes. When you work, you pay big taxes. Where your money go? Money go to some country where people say, that's America. It's stupidity. You ask some country for the nation, no open door to illegal immigrants. If you pay for this, they on public assistance, they consume huge money. I'm for immigration, but legal. You will not open door to station. Why government open national door? You invite people, you pay them all benefits, all, but many Americans now to work. Okay, also I have planned to drastically reduce traffic. Heavy traffic, it consumes a huge amount of money, time, people time. Okay, also oil. Our nation must stop our dependency on foreign oil. Nation pay $1 billion a day to buy oil from foreign country. Is then this money go against us? Some money go to terrorists. We must stop dependency on foreign right as soon as possible. Another also I have planned to, besides create jobs, we have to drill for oil. Also, nation concentrate on economic, yes, economic, but national security, very important national security. Iran developed weapons of mass destruction. It's a great threat to our country. But United States, United Nations try to some economic sanctions, but Russia and China does not support our sanctions against Iran. I'm afraid soon possible weapons of mass destruction could drop on our country, not from Iran, but from any ship close to our borders. We have to pay. I recommend our country to start some economic sanction against Russia and China. It's for our national security. Okay, what's more? Okay, nation pays so much money on education. In very poor education, military complain about 25% of recruit very poor in math, in reading. Where is education on this? For me, was the first surprise. I came here in 1980. In the past 31 years, I was wondering what was going on with education. It's still now very bad. Therefore, nation pay attention, more education. First have to discipline in school. On this, about nation talking about child obesity. Have to take a look deeply. First, I'm in health fitness business. Okay, I'm author of book named Get Energized, a producer of video, same name. I'm author and publisher of this. I'm 74, no medical problem. The nation must concentrate on prevention, believe me. Don't rely too much on doctors. Doctors, we need doctors, but sometimes we need for emergency. Who will help? Nobody. You have to rely on yourself. Therefore, you have to concentrate on own health first. Because nation could not, if some emergency, now have to go downstairs, therefore you have to prepare yourself for emergency, be healthy, it's first. Nation spends so much on healthcare, therefore nation talking about abused children. Take a look deeply. Medical organization, drug company, corrupt politician. If politicians do not concentrate on prevention, but on treatment, it creates huge profit for medical organization and drug company. Huge profit. Medical organization, drug company prepare future patient for a drug company. I will give to you child jump rope if they will do competition with me. Thank you.
Number two? Who has number two? Lisa? Oklahoma raised, Kansas educated, broadcast journalist, believes in very limited government, been a legislative candidate. Lisa, the microphone is yours.
Thank you very much, Tom, and thank you to everybody here. I really appreciate you inviting me. And I want to do a special round of applause for all the women in the room, because they're not often occupying this room. Let's hear it for the women. All right. I'd love to hear that. I know the men, they need their special time. I've done a public access show on relationships. It's a G-rated relationship show. Topic I know very little about. I haven't had a relationship in years, but I like to talk about it once a month just for the fun of it. In any case, it's important for men to have their time with each other, and I'm so appreciative that you invited the women and us in here for this. I want to read to you some quotes, and I want you to guess who it was that said these words. If we ever forget we are one nation under God, then we are a nation gone under. Man is not free unless government is limited. Government always finds a need for whatever money it gets. Does anybody know who said all those things? Ronald Reagan. The best president that I've had in my lifetime. And a fellow member of the Screen Actors Guild. I earned my Screen Actors Guild card down in Los Angeles doing television commercials. and comedy shows and all sorts of fun stuff. And I moved up here about 20 years ago with my family. My husband was from Beaverton, Oregon. I'm divorced now and raised my kids on my own and working in the advertising industry as both a salesperson for media, television media, and also working in for advertising agencies. I've been a PCP, a precinct committee person, for those of you who don't know what that stands for, in Washington County for the last 11 years. I've been served on the Republican Central Committee for the Washington County Republicans. I've also was granted the wonderful opportunity to go to New York City to represent the great state of Oregon at the Republican National Convention in 2004 when we proudly renominated George W. Bush to be our president. This was a special treat for me because tragically my cousin David Berry was murdered by the terrorists on September 11th as he was reassuring his wife that he was okay. And I got to spend the time with his mother, my Aunt Nancy. So it was a great experience. I have a long history of working tirelessly for conservative causes and to try to expose government malfeasance in our community. I took on the Schumacher Furs when they were thrown out of their location and had to go out of business because our own city government couldn't get the police to enforce the law and keep the anarchists off their front porch. I've done a number of different things in that regard. And I want to run for Congress, and I want you to send me to Congress because I've been watching all these things. And a lot of what's been instituted was discovered over 100 years ago in a raid in Dusseldorf, Germany. They found this piece of paper, and it was entitled Communist Rules for Revolution. And there were just 9 simple rules. I've almost committed all of them to memory, and they're all being implemented. But the one that I'm most concerned about right now is number 6. Through government extravagance, destroy the credit, cause fear of inflation, and general discontent. Does anybody here think that that's happening right now? Government is being extravagant with our money? You raise your hand. No, everybody thinks it's fine. All right. Way to go, Jim Greenfield. I'm glad I've got some concurrence in there. In any case, I did some research, and a lot of people like to talk about how successful Bill Clinton was in his presidency. Well, a lot of people forget that he was working for the very majority of his time, 6 of his 8 years, with a Republican Congress. And I found this interesting chart. You can see the red and the blue. See how the red goes up and then the blue levels off and goes down? The red are the Republican Congresses, and the going up is the increasing of jobs. When you have Republican Congresses, jobs are increased. When you have Democrat Congresses, the Congress levels off and then, as you can see, plummets. Job creation has just gone away completely. So if you want status quo, if you want to continue to have high unemployment in the state of Oregon and across our country, and you want to continue to have a big spending, government extravagant government, then you'll want to have status quo. You want to keep voting for the Democrats. You want to keep putting them back in there. If you want to have a rock-solid conservative go to Washington, D.C. and stand up for your rights and what you want, I am going to be completely accessible to you. I'm going to continue doing my television show. I do a Ustream television show. You can call in, you can Skype in, you can be on the internet and tell everybody what you think. And tell me what you think, and I'll expose what they're really doing in there behind closed doors so that you know what's going on. Because I'm only taking money from individuals. I'm not taking money from big corporations. Nobody's going to come to Lisa Michaels in Congress and say, you know what, I donated this much money to your campaign, so you need to do this, that, and the other thing. That is not happening. I'm going to show them the door, as I would expect you would want me to do. Because it's very important we get people in there so that we can get jobs to start to be created again. And I am completely and wholly opposed to the healthcare program that Obama has done. I think they're going to have death panels. They've already got a plan set up, just came out in the AP, where they're going to get a basic plan that they're going to push on us. And it's vitally important especially as seniors, that you are allowed to have the health care choices that you have grown up with, that you've known about, that you trust to make these vital decisions. And it's vitally important that we maintain and we accomplish and continue to uphold our promise to seniors who have invested so much money over their working lifetime to Social Security. But it is a plan that is flawed, and so we need to start working towards slimming that down for the younger generations and trying to come up with some solutions. But the number one priority is make sure that those of you who have loyally paid into the system for all these years, continue to have their support that you have planned on and that you are depending on. So that's very, very critical. Our country's teetering on life support. The economy is, as we all know, just in desperate straits. Obama authorized spending more money in the first 6 months of its administration than had been spent in the entire history of our country, going back from George Washington all the way to George W. Bush. And we all know how much George W. Bush spent. But remember, George W. Bush, the last 2 years of his administration, he was under a Democrat-controlled Congress. Last 2 years. And the stock market went to its highest height of all time in March of 2007, while the Democrats had just moved into Congress and were still picking out their drapes. They hadn't had a chance to do a whole lot of damage. But then after that, look at it, levels off with the blue and plummets. They are implementing the 6th rule of communist revolution through government extravagance, destroy the credit, cause fear of inflation and general discontent. They are trying to corrupt our children. Number 1 rule is get control of the young, get them away from religion, get them interested in sex, get them interested in sports. Number 2, get control of all means of communications. That's why I've tried to be a crusader with my video camera and expose a lot of the news that the news media, not only is the news media biased in what they do report and how they report it, but they are also biased in what they do not tell you about. There's very important things. They are trying to craft, make no mistake about it, they are trying to craft your opinions. I'd like you to please vote for me, Lisa Michaels, for Congress. Thank you very much for your time.
The middleman in this is Jim Greenfield, Tiger real estate investment manager, lawyer. He was a talk show host too. I don't know, you still do that? Was the Republican nominee for 1st District in 2002, Jim Greenfield.
I haven't practiced law for a long time, so I don't want that held against me. You may wonder why politicians typically don't show a lot of courage. And the reason is there's a price to be paid. I don't know if you've heard this story about the cowboy who died and he was at the gates of heaven, and St. Peter said to him, "You want to get into heaven?" He says, "Yeah, sure." He says, "Well, can you tell me something good you did during your life?" And he says, "Yeah, I came across a motorcycle gang. It was brutally raping a woman. And I didn't hesitate. I walked right up to the leader of the gang, and I gave him a karate chop to the throat, and I kicked him in the groin, knocked him over, and I turned to the rest of them, and I said, 'You guys back down, or I'm going to kick the you-know-what out of every one of you.'" And St. Peter says, "Well, that is very courageous. When did this happen?" He says, "Right before I came here." So there is a price to be paid for political courage, which is why you don't see a lot of it. Now, I am a fiscally conservative Republican, but I like to give credit where it's due, And so I do have something nice to say about President Obama. I think that President Obama has come up with a very effective solution to the problem of illegal immigration. He's caused so much damage to our economy that Mexicans don't even want to come here anymore. Now, before I get any further in trouble, can I ask how many people in this audience are Republicans? Okay, most of the candidates. How many are Democrats? Okay, so this, I'm running in a Republican primary, so most of you won't get to vote for me until hopefully in the general election. So let me address Democrats and see if I can persuade you to maybe look at things a little bit differently. You've probably heard, well, first of all, let me start with this. Suppose you had a friend who came to you and asked for advice. And he said, I'm $1 million in debt, and I earn a good living, but I'm way over my head in debt. I can't pay it off. What would your advice to him be? How many would say, well, the solution to your problem is to spend more money and borrow more money, go deeper into debt? How many would give that advice? Nobody. That's what President Obama is telling us. The United States is $15 trillion in debt. We have another $70 trillion in unfunded liabilities for Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. And the best that he can come up with is that we should go deeper into debt? You don't need a PhD in economics to understand that that doesn't make sense. So Obama says, okay, well, I'll tell you what, we'll fix the problem of the debt by raising taxes. How many here think that we should raise taxes? Okay, most of you. How many of you want to raise your taxes? You want to raise your own taxes? Okay, yes. Very interesting. Very good. You want to raise your own taxes. Now, opinion polls have shown that more than 60% of voters want to raise taxes on the rich. Now, I'm not shocked by that. I'm not shocked to find that most people want to raise somebody else's taxes. This is an unusual group that you want to raise your own taxes. How many of you want to cut your benefits? How many of you want to cut your own benefits? 1. Okay. 2. 3. Okay, we get a few. Want to cut your... I assume most of you are on Social Security and Medicare. Do you want to see those programs cut? Do you? Okay, you want to raise your taxes and cut spending. So all of you are willing to have a lower standard of living. Is that right? Okay, very interesting. Very interesting. There is a small problem with the idea of raising taxes to solve the problem, which is that it won't work. Now, the reason that it won't work is that even if Warren Buffett gets his wish, even if you go beyond that, take all the money of all the billionaires and millionaires in the country, it won't even make a dent. It won't even make a dent in that $15 trillion in debt. There's another problem with raising taxes. See, what does raising taxes mean? It means you're taking more money from the private sector, from individuals and businesses in the private sector, and turning it over to the government. How many of you think that the government operates more efficiently than private companies in the private sector? Okay? There are certain things that government has to do. Police, national defense, building highways. Okay. What else can the government do? Did the government invent the airplane? Did the Wright brothers go and get a grant from the government to build the airplane? Did Alexander Graham Bell get a grant from the government to invent the telephone? Or Thomas Edison for the light bulb and the phonograph? Did Stephen Jobs get a grant from the government? If you think about what creates the wealth in America, is it the government? Does the government create the fantastic amount of wealth that this country has created over the last 200 years? What does government do? Government is bureaucracy. What do they create? Bureaucrats. They have office buildings with people in them. Nobody knows what they do. They shovel papers around, make phone calls, and make life miserable for people who are trying to run their businesses. I know that. As a small businessman, I had to spend a third of my time dealing with government bureaucrats who thought it was their business to tell me how to run my business. I couldn't blow my nose without some government bureaucrat giving me permission. That's why you hear small businessmen constantly complaining about government regulation and high taxes. You take those taxes away from private businesses and private individuals and you give it to the government. It's going down the toilet. And I don't care if you're Democrats, you're liberals, you know that's true. We have a mathematical problem. It's not liberal, conservative, moderate, libertarian, communist, whatever. It is a mathematical problem, which is that we cannot pay that $15 trillion debt plus the $70 trillion in unfunded liabilities. Cannot be paid. How did we get in this position? The reason is because for the last 100 years, our government has been growing and growing and growing and consuming more and more of the resources of our nation. We now have 19 million people employed by government, federal, state, and local level. Do you know how many are employed in manufacturing? 11 million. It's been going down. Keeps going down. Because why? Because the government is taking the resources. Now, is there anybody who thinks in this country, if we get rid of all our manufacturing, take those 11 million jobs and create 11 million new government bureaucrats, we will starve to death. Now, I know, you folks, you've been around for a long time, and you believe certain things probably for a long time. But you need to keep your minds open and think about this. The federal government now consumes 25% of gross domestic product, the highest level in history. And what are they doing with it? As Milton Friedman, the great economist, said, if the government managed the Sahara Desert, in 5 years we'd run out of sand. And we want to turn over our healthcare system to these bureaucrats? Does that make any sense at all? I will finish with a short quote from the author of the Declaration of Independence. I am for a government vigorously frugal and simple to preserve the people's independence. We must not let our rulers load us with perpetual debt. I'll just finish the quote. This is the forehorse of this frightful team is public debt. Taxation follows that, and in its train, wretchedness and oppression. Thomas Jefferson. We have to get the debt under control by cutting government spending. Jim Greenfield for Congress. My website is jimgreenfieldforcongress.com. Thank you very much.
Must be Delinda. You're 5? You're 4? Oh, okay. Rob? Ran against Wu 2 years ago. Sports promotion business owner. Active Special Olympics. Utah education. Founder of Game Face. Rob Cornilles.
As Tom said, I was here last year. I got to speak to a Saturday morning group. I walked in today and it looked a lot prettier than last year. So it's good to be back, and it's great to have an opportunity to visit with you. I take a lot of heart from our founding fathers. Our founding fathers came into this experiment, and they were very opinionated. They had a lot of strong feelings, and they articulated them well on all sides of the political spectrum. But eventually, they realized they had to find a way to work together. And so what they did is, after a lot of debate, some bullheadedness, and I'm sure some very angry words to each other, they eventually decided on a course of action, and they signed that document together, and they moved forward as a country. I think that's where we're at today, ladies and gentlemen. There's a lot of strong opinions. You've heard some from the other Republican candidates this morning already. My view is that to represent Oregon, we have to have a congressman who will understand the diversity of opinion, use their best judgment, and represent you. Represent you so that we can move this state and this country forward. And it's not a Republican issue, it's not a Democrat issue, it's an Oregonian issue. I'm a lifetime Oregonian. I was born and raised in the 1st District. I'm 47 years old. I was born not far from this place. I was raised in Washington County and went to high school in Yamhill County. My wife, whose name is Allison, who I've been married to more than 25 years, she's also from this district. So we know a lot about what drives this state and also what hurts this state. We have 3 sons, 2 in college and 1 still in high school. Our kids have gone through the public school system in the Tiger 12th School District. And 16 years ago, we started a company, as Tom said, a company called GameFace. We're based in Washington County. And in that time, we've been able to employ about 60 people, 60 Oregonians, and give them, hopefully, a great place to go to work every day and a great place to have a future for themselves and their own families. And in our business, we've also been able to create jobs for about 500 people around the country. People who went through a university system but couldn't get into their desired field. So they would utilize GameFace. We would train them in skills that they didn't receive in college training. And with those skills, we introduced them to our clients, who then hired them for full-time employment. We're very proud of that record. This is the kind of skill set, quite frankly, I think we need more of in Congress. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a lifetime politician. I never had ambition to run for Congress. But rather, I did have ambition to make a better lifestyle for myself, my neighbors, my employees, my friends, and even those people that would be called strangers here in Oregon. And I see what's going on in Congress today, the divisiveness, the rancor, the gamesmanship. And it's very unsettling to me. My own son, my youngest son, 15 years old, sat with me a few days ago, it was about a week ago, and I told him what was going on in the campaign, about some of the negativity. Some of it you've heard here already this morning. And my 15-year-old son said, "Dad, that's why I don't like politics. Instead of getting something done, all they do is argue." A 15-year-old making this statement, ladies and gentlemen. And that's not the legacy I want to leave to my son. That's not the legacy I want to leave to your kids and grandkids and great-grandkids. I want to be a representative that you look to, and even though we may not share a party affiliation, you can say, you know what, I'm proud that he represents us, because though we may disagree on some issues, I always feel like he's working for our best interests. And nobody in this room could agree with me on 100% of the things that we talk about. And I can't agree with anyone in this room 100% of the time. My own spouse and I don't agree 100% of the time. But we still choose to live together. We still choose to honor that commitment we've made to each other as husband and wife. And I hope we can make that commitment today as Oregonians. I also want you to know the reason I'm running is because it's very disheartening to me when I see good Oregonians who can't find work. There's no reason why your kids and grandkids who may grow up in Oregon and go through the school system here have to go out of state to find a better education. There's no reason why they should have to take a vacation to visit Grandma and Grandpa. They ought to be able to stay here because there's opportunity in Oregon. This is a place where they can prosper. It's a place where they're comfortable. It's a place where there's a lifestyle and a sense of community that brings us together rather than divides us. And I'm very eager to represent you in such a way so that you can say to your kids and grandkids, both now and in the future, Oregon is not just a great place to grow, it's a great place to be successful. Whether you want to be successful volunteering time in the schools, whether you want to be successful starting your own business, whether you want to be successful in raising a family, this is a great place. If you look at all the great assets we have at our disposal. When I was sitting at my table this morning, we were gazing out the window and we said, what a wonderful place to live. But I don't think we've taken full advantage of what we have here in Oregon. The innovation, the inventiveness, the creativity, the goodwill of our communities and our people here. And quite frankly, ladies and gentlemen, I'm running again because out of 435 districts in the entire country, ours, right here, is the only one without a voice in Congress today. That's shameful. We should not be proud of that. And I obviously did all I could last year to win an election. Certainly, I lost. But this year, I think I'm a better candidate. I think I understand your issues better. I think I understand what can make Oregon prosperous and what we can do to grow jobs. What we can do to make sure that we save those critical programs that we do rely on, whether they be Social Security, Medicare, etc. I also know that we have to, as a country, create more taxpayers if we want to reduce the debt and the deficit. That's, to me, the first thing we must do if we want to fix this fix we're in, is not to raise taxes on people who already are struggling, middle America, but more importantly, create more people who are paying into the system, as well as reduce the loopholes, eliminate the loopholes that only the big corporations can take advantage of because they're the only ones who can afford lawyers and lobbyists and have people in high places to help them escape the tax code. There's no reason that General Electric, which made $14.1 billion in 2010, there's no reason why they should get away with a zero federal tax obligation, because they're smarter than the rest of us. Fairness needs to be put into the tax code. We also need to recognize that in Oregon, in order to create jobs, we need regulation. It protects us, it protects our environments and our environment. But when regulation becomes so onerous that I, as a small business owner, that I who want to perhaps start a small business, can't even work through the paperwork because it's so cumbersome and complicated, and stifles my ability to hire, then we know regulation has gone too far. And lastly, I would just like to say, here in this state, especially in this region of Oregon, we haven't had a champion in Congress for a long, long time. We haven't had someone in Congress who was effective enough and had enough clout to go there and get for Oregon the type of representation that you deserve. I look forward to being that person. And through our conversation today, I hope to give you some ideas as to how that will occur. But I look forward to being your advocate, your voice, and your ears in Congress. My name is Rob Cornilles. Thank you very much.
And now, Delinda Delgado, Morgan. California education, Oregon experience, right to life, right to arms, less government. Here's Delinda.
Thank you, Mr. Tom Wright, and thank all of you for coming to listen to what we have to say this morning. I am honored to be here with you. This has been the nicest breakfast I've ever been invited to speak. Thank you. I have been married for 25 years. My parents have been married for 60 years. They got married in 1952, so in April will be their 60th wedding anniversary. I have 3 sons. My oldest is married with 3 daughters. My 2 youngest are both in college. I have my own business. I am a small business owner. I have a vineyard So I'm a farmer, and we produce our own Pinot Noir wine. We just shut down our business. My husband's business was a martial arts school. We taught martial arts to over 100 people. We had over 100 students at one time. The economy went south, and most of those people were some of our best friends. And we didn't want anyone to have to choose whether they were going to pay for martial art lessons or what they were going to buy for groceries that week, and we closed our school down slowly. In teaching martial arts, there's a lot of confrontation. You deal with parents every day whose children are considered to them a little more special than maybe some other children. And you need to be exactly the same to every single student. There is a curriculum that they are following. And when parents see how well their children can do under the same curriculum and how their children blossom and learn to work within that system, it's a reward that carries with them through life. Many people that I know or I meet, and my parents are included, my family, tell me what wonderful children I have raised. It's an everyday process, but it also is a process which deals with making hard decisions and being very strict about those decisions. I am running for U.S. Congress because I have the passion it takes. I will not be deterred from doing the right thing for the right reason for you, because I represent you. Going to Congress is not something that's an adventure. It's a job, and it's a job that you hire someone to do because you believe in them. And if all 435 House of Representatives lived under these rules and were representing their constituents, we would have a Congress that had honor and integrity. I have integrity and honor, and I will not be swayed from that. I promise to represent you with integrity, with courage, and with conviction, because I believe in people. I do believe in less government, because I do not believe that administration and huge government knows better than we do. We know how to spend our money the right way. And if everyone in this room who would like to pay a little money to see a very good program succeed, I can help you with that. We can build programs where you can see what you're doing in your own communities. As your representative, that's what I want to do. I want to bring my talent and my expertise and my skills to my 700,000 constituents so that I know what's needed, and we take care of our business right here with our own money. We take care of our own. That's what every single member of the House of Representatives and the Senate should be doing. That's their job. They have lost sight of that. What they're doing with our money is disgraceful. It's dishonorable. I want Congress, I want the United States of America to be respected. I have respect for everyone. I'm polite and respectful. I've learned that from my parents. I'm sincere, but more than anything, I'm very passionate about helping my constituents, my district. I'll give you a few examples of that. I sell wine. That's my small business. But when I decide to do an event, I do it because I look at who it's going to help. So I have done events just recently for Uncorked in Forest Grove, and it helps underprivileged children. It's set up by the police department and fire department.